Hi. I'm Norm Brecke, storyteller, and I'm here in Norway. Saw this house and it reminded me of an old folk tale. There was a traveler who made his living by entertaining from town to town and doing a little bit of work here and there. And he was on his way to the next town and got caught in a snowstorm. He saw this big house and thought, well, I'll ask him. There was an old man chopping wood next to the house. He walked up to him and said, Father, could I possibly have a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night? He looked up from his work and said, well, I'm not the father of this house, but you could ask my father. He's in the kitchen. Just go around back there and go in and ask him. And that's just what he did. He looked in and the door was open. He walked up and there was an old man looking into the wood stove, trying to get it lit again. He said, excuse me, Father, could I possibly have a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night? The old man looked up and said, I'm not the father of this house. You'll have to talk to my father. He's in the dining room. I think he's having some soup. Okay. Walked into the next room, and there was an old man sipping soup at the table, very carefully. His hand was a little shaky. Walked up and said, excuse me, Father, could I possibly have a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night? He said, I'm not the father of this house, but you can ask my father. He's in the parlor. Go on in. He walked into the parlor, and there was an old man trying to sip some tea. He also was shaky, but he seemed frail. His bones seemed to hold up the skin just barely. And he went to sip. When he put the drink down, he said, excuse me, Father. I was wondering if I could possibly get a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night. I'm sorry, I'm not the father of this house. You'll have to talk to my father. He's in the bedroom, first bedroom on the left up ahead here. Thank you. Walked down the hall and went into a room, and there was an old man in a bed with the cover all the way up. The beard went way down. He went up to the eyes and said, excuse me, Father, could I possibly have a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night? And the man said, he came closer and closer, and the man said, I'm not the father of this house. Talk to my father. He's over in the cradle across the room. Thank you, Father. He walked over to the cradle, not really sure what he was going to see. There was what appeared to be an old man about the size of a baby in the cradle, and yet his eyes were wide open. He said, excuse me, Father. I was wondering if I could have a bite to eat and possibly a place to stay for the night. The old man looked at him and he motioned. I'm not the father of this house. My father is in the hallway on a horn on the wall. Thank you, Father. He made his way out to the hall and looked. Oh, sure enough, there was a horn hanging on the wall. He walked over, and in the horn was just a tiny little, looked like a doll almost, little man with little dots for eyes. Excuse me, Father. Could I possibly have a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night? Couldn't hear him. So he came up a little closer. "Excuse me, Father, could I possibly have a bite to eat and a place to stay for the night?" He yelled right into the horn. And at that, the man said, "Yes." At that moment, two servants came by, escorted him into a grand hall, and served him fresh reindeer meat. And he had a bed of the finest skins all over him. It was the finest meal he had ever had in his life. He was certainly glad that he had finally met the real father of the house.